a summer shandy on Thursday. We so motherfucking out here, though. We never been this out here. Woo! So strange when it's changing the speed. What you know about Leonard Skinner? The whacker the intro, the hotter the verse every time, baby. Well, I've been working like a working man do. Got my act together, gonna walk all over you. Pressure pushing down on me, pushing down on you. Shit, let's raise the roof. Woo! About time, it's the era of the rebels. Cloud nine in the air up in the vessels. Generation fearless, got a taste for weirdness. Flow on fire, that's the way my beard is. Hard times, jump starting the grind. It's all good, y'all. Things fall apart sometimes. Let it go, let me know when you're ready, though. Don't push me, cuz until the edge I'm close. When the time comes, ride for something. Or live to be 90, then just die for nothing. Speak their heart, your baby, speak their mind. And I'ma play their part, and I'ma freak that rhyme one time for you. Rhyme one time for you. I'm an island, man. There ain't nothing else by me, man. And I drink enough whiskey to float a battleship around this bitch any motherfucking how. Wow. I'm up in a mix and the place to be. You're down for the night, come form with me. Like ABC, like 1, 2, 3. As I breeze like a part of the sea.
Welcome to the Miserable Retail Slave Show. We're coming to you from the Pod Check outside beautiful Flint, Michigan, USA. My name is Randy. Tommy's over there.
Hey.
How's everybody doing today?
Perfect.
Perfect. You're perfect. You're perfection. You're the epitome of human achievement right there. That's what you are. That's what you just said by saying you're perfect.
I'm perfect.
Nothing's better than this guy over here talking to you right now. This Tommy.
What is the deal with perfection?
Yeah. Gum would be perfection. That's my favorite Friends bit, by the way.
What is it?
Gum would be perfection when Chandler's in the, he's locked in the ATM vestibule with that supermodel.
I don't think I've seen this one.
Oh, it's from the first season when Friends was kind of good. And he's locked inside the ATM vestibule because the power went out. And she's like some famous model or something. And she asked him, Chandler, if he wanted a piece of gum just for small talk. And he said, gum would be perfection. And then he's like, why would you say that?
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this about the universe, Tommy, but Must See TV was on Thursdays on NBC along with Friends was a little show called Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Which happens to be one of my favorite shows of all the times.
Yeah, I kind of missed the boat on it. I'm kind of going back and discovering it a little bit here and there now. I don't know how I missed the boat on it, but the Beloved is a huge fan, and my dad's really into it now, and so I've been checking it out more and more.
Yeah, the Beloved is a huge fan. She knows all the episodes, and that's what I appreciate about hers. She knows all the episodes. I should do a Seinfeld podcast with her.
Yeah, and she said, I want to go see Jerry Seinfeld live. And I was like, Jerry Seinfeld? And we went and saw him live, God, it probably 5-6 years ago now, and he was fantastic. And I became a huge fan, and I got really into the, have you ever seen the documentary Comedian?
You know what? No, I don't think I have.
Oh, you'd love it. It's where Jerry comes back from, he just finished up Seinfeld, and he's trying to just write 5 minutes, and it just follows him for, I don't know if it's a week or a month or whatever, around comedy clubs in New York, and he's trying to work on these 5 minutes, and he's talking about how he forgot how hard stand-up is, and it's a lot of behind the scenes, and he's with Orny Adams the whole time because that's his opener, and Orny's just crazy wreck of a human, good guy, but he's more OCD than I am and more of a spaz than I am, but yeah, so it kind of follows both their lives, and It's really good, and it made me a huge fan.
I was the biggest Seinfeld fan. Like, I watched it religiously. Me and my friends in high school would, every Friday morning, that's all we could talk about was the episode that was on the night before. Part of my dry, sarcastic sense of humor came specifically from that show. So you can blame Jerry Seinfeld for that.
You don't say.
Yeah, I say. And
the minute I fell in love, I think with Jerry. Well, I mean, I loved him when I went and saw him. He was fantastic, and we were super close to the stage. So we were like 4 rows back, and that helped a lot. But in comedian, Orny Adams is like, he didn't have a particularly good set at this club, and he's backstage and he's freaking out, and he's telling Jerry that all his friends are successful and he just needs to go become like a successful person and like do something else, like a doctor or a lawyer, or just, have a regular life. And Jerry's like, what? That sounds terrible. What are you talking about? And he tells him this old showbiz tale of it's the what's that old orchestra? Is it Herb Alpert? Is that what it is?
I don't know. Maybe
there's an old orchestra in the 40s. I think it was called Herb Alpert Orchestra, but they used to tour the nation, and their bus broke down on their way to go play a gig, and they found out that the gig was only like a quarter mile away, and it was like the winter time. So the Herb Alpert was like, all right, we just got to truck through this cornfield and then we'll be there. And these guys are walking. It's like 20 degrees. They're in these super heavy coats. They're on their they got all their stage gear on. They're carrying their instruments. They're sweating like crazy, walking through this abandoned cornfield, and they come across this house. And in the distance, they can see in the window, and there's like smoke coming out of the chimney. And you can see the table set for dinner, and the family's like laughing around the table, and there's this huge turkey on it. And one of the guys in the band looks at the other guy and goes, ugh, how can people live like that? And that's like Jerry's, yeah. It wasn't Jerry's tale, and he says that. Yeah. So it's like old show business, the way that show business minds, they just see perfection, like a perfect family, and they're like, gross. Right. Which is funny. And Orny laughs, and it's a good part of the documentary. And that really, of course, I love my family. I love eating dinner around them, but I mean, like, you definitely have, people in show business have that thing where it's like, there's another part of it too. You got to be, the stage is also a very fun spot. So.
Well, I mean, Jerry didn't get married till way later in life when he was 45. So
he talks about this, and he said it was weird because he said something about like, I did some crazy things or something. And it's like, yeah, you dated an 18-year-old when you were like 37.
Yeah, kind of nuts.
I don't know if that's what he was alluding to, but
yeah, I don't know, maybe. So Seinfeld was one of my favorite shows ever, and still is. The very first comedy album I ever listened to was Jerry's, that came out in 1998. Shortly after the show ended, it was called "I'm Telling You for the Last Time." Okay. And I, too, saw Jerry Seinfeld live. I was 3 rows back because I'm better than Tommy.
No, we were 2 rows back, actually.
I was right in front of him. I was sitting on the stage, actually.
Did Larry Miller open?
No.
Oh, well, Larry Miller opened for ours, so there you go.
No, this was in, I think it was like 2001.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what he was touring for, just to do it, I guess. But he was at the Whiting Auditorium in beautiful Flint, Michigan, USA.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and so my mom got tickets for me and my dad for my birthday that year. And so we sat there, and we were right there. It was a funny show. I think I've told this story on this podcast before, but I'm telling it again just because people might have forgot. Or we might have new listeners, Lord forbid. But it was an aisle seat I was sitting at, and I'm sitting there engrossed in the show. Jerry's funny, and this man like walks up right beside me and crouches down next to my seat, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking he's a photographer or something. He wasn't. So he slowly crept up to the front of the stage. Meanwhile, there's 2 big security guards on either side at these exits, and they're standing there in their black shirts and their arms folded. Apparently, they've perfected the art of falling asleep with their eyes open because they did nothing. So this man crouches at the edge of the stage as Jerry's doing his act and started trying to get Jerry's attention in the middle of his act.
Oh, those are the worst people.
And so Jerry looks down and says, in true Jerry Seinfeld fashion, "Excuse me, can I help you?" And the guy holds up a TV guide that had a caricature of Jerry Seinfeld from TV Guide. And
yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, I actually have, well, not that TV Guide. I didn't tackle the guy and take it from him, but I have a copy of it that I kept. So he held the TV Guide up and he's like, "I'm your biggest fan. I saw you last night in Toledo. Will you sign this for me?" And Jerry goes, where do you think you are right now? What do you think I'm doing? I'm not just out here hanging out. This is my job right now. He just laid into the guy. He did sign it, though.
He did?
He did. Oh. He took it and he signed it, and the crowd cheered. And then Jerry was completely flustered. He was like, he started to go into it, and he just lost it. He's like, "What was I talking about?"
That's great. That's great. That's good that he signed it, because if he didn't sign it, there'd be at least like 30% of people there going, he should have signed it. But he probably shouldn't have.
Probably not.
You don't want to encourage that kind of behavior.
Part of me hopes he signed it like Mickey Rooney or something.
All right, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. You're a piece of trash.
What is the deal with you?
Yeah. I hope the guy actually kept that TV Guide, because that's a hell of a story to tell. I hope he didn't just sell it on eBay, but he probably did.
Oh, if he's the biggest fan, then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
One of my favorite, another good thing that attracted me to Jerry, I guess, or caught my attention, was in the documentary Comedian, which we're not reviewing today, but I keep going back to. He's working on his new 5 minutes, and he's trying to figure out what works. And he's at this open mic, and he says, "What's the deal with beauty contests? Hey, you're pretty. I challenge you." Which made me laugh really hard.
That's good. Have you ever watched Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's fun. I like the fact that it's very short, and for the most part, the episodes are 15 to 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy, hearing other comedians talk with Jerry about, just what inspires them and stuff. All that and whatever. I like hearing about creative people talk about what inspires them to be creative. Yeah. And I
like it when Jerry just looks at him and goes, "Really?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's such a dick to him, but he's Jerry Seinfeld, so it's just funny.
Yeah, Jerry he's got a charming arrogance to him, doesn't he?
Yes. Yes, and that's what I didn't get. I just, it was the charm that I was missing until that I saw him live. Because when I first, saw him or whatever, or maybe I was, too young to understand the show, or didn't give it enough time to process in my dumb brain. But I was like, that guy's just an asshole.
Yeah.
And then you find out, well, yeah, he is, but he's witty and he's funny about it, and he doesn't really take it too seriously.
Yeah, he's a very likable asshole.
Because I think you kind of know that he's just playing.
Yeah. Well, the character from the show seems to be the character that he plays on stage. And those two characters aren't necessarily the same guy you see on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. Because that guy, I like it when some comedian makes him laugh, because he'll silently laugh and clap his hands. And that's when you know his fancy's really been tickled. Yeah.
That's why he's breaking character.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's sort of in the special 23 Hours to Kill, he alludes to the fact that, me, we've been going through life together. You might, I know you, we might only know each other electronically, but still, what I've been up to. And I think, I think it's that kind of rapport that lets him get away with some of the stuff he says.
Absolutely, and that's what young comics, like guys that are just starting out, that's what they need to understand. I can't tell you how many times a young comedian will be told. I usually don't say anything unless they ask me, but an older comedian will be like, they'll go, "Well, Jerry Seinfeld gets away with it. You're not Jerry Seinfeld." That's
right.
That's the big. They'll say, "Well, Louis C.K. can do it. You're not Louis C.K." And that's the big thing to learn in comedy is that people got to know you and like you, and once the trick is to get them to kind of understand you really fast as you can, and kind of understand where you're coming from. That's kind of like when I go on stage, I kind of make a big deal of it, and I'm throwing my arms around and I'm having the audience yell and shit like that, because that's kind of the way I am on stage. So it's kind of lets them know right away this is what they're in for, and I think that's very important. But I mean, that takes a while to figure out. And it's got to match. You can't go up there and throw your arms around and then be like a very quiet, comedian, But I think Jerry, people know Jerry. They know what they're getting into by now if they go see Jerry. So, yeah, I think that's a very good, important. And that plays on. Then he can pretty much do everything because people already know his personality.
And I think like somebody like Anthony Jeselnik has, his material's a lot more dark and caustic and controversial. However, the stage persona's very similar, but he can't get away with it as well as Jerry can.
Right. Well, Jerry's a master, and Jeselnik is of course really good. But yeah, he doesn't have quite the. He's like a Seinfeld, but like a better Seinfeld, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a Seinfeld that isn't getting paid $50 million a year.
So the opening segment of this stand-up special on Netflix, which you can watch now, Jerry jumps out of a fucking helicopter into the Hudson River. How crazy.
Yeah, he says, "Just let me off here."
Yeah. And then he just jumps out of a helicopter for no reason.
Yeah, my parents went and saw Howie Mandel at the Palace in the 80s. And he did something very similar, and they put it on the big screen, and it was like he was running late for the show, and he was going through different, like a backstage, like SNL sort of thing. But I think he rode a dirt bike at some point or something. But it made me think of it like, hey, he kind of got that idea from Howie, because I think if I remember correctly, Howie jumped on a dirt bike and kind of like dodged cars to make it to the show on time, and then I think he rode the dirt bike on stage, or he propelled from the ceiling or something like that. I can't remember, but
wow, that's fun. Did they seeing Howie Mandel?
I think so. That's the only thing I really remember.
He was at the Palace. So. Oh my God, that's a big venue.
This is like the height of his fame. I think late 80s, early 90s or something.
Ooh. First thing I noticed about...
Not a Howie fan, huh?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I've seen enough Howie material to make an opinion. However, it kind of surprises me because whenever I think of Howie Mandel, I think of Bobby's World, but that's just me. Just me.
Yeah, well, Howie started with stand-up, of course.
Yeah. The first thing that I noticed immediately off the bat about Jerry Seinfeld at the age of 66 is he still looks like he's at the age of 36. If not, maybe even a little better than he did when he was on Seinfeld. I'm like, how do you not age whatsoever? God, I guess countless millions of dollars really is the fountain of youth.
Yeah, and the one thing I noticed is that when me and the Beloved saw him probably about 5 or 6 years ago, he had like a really tight, like a skinny suit on, I guess. Like skinny pants, and he went back to a regular suit for this special. It was kind of like a pallbearer suit.
He was planning his own funeral, I guess.
It wasn't like skinny leg pants and a skin tight, suit coat. It was kind of loose. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that as well, and I was like, huh. I wonder if he's gaining some old man weight and he just wants to hide it a little bit. But yeah, he doesn't look 65. That's for damn sure.
Possibly he is, and who cares? I'm sure he doesn't. He's like, I'm 65. Who cares?
He's not fat by any means.
it's almost unfair because he has one trick at his disposal that most comics don't. He has that trademarked high-pitched Jerry Seinfeld voice that he can pull out whenever he wants, and it's funny no matter what he says. So
yeah, the opening that he did on this special was very similar to the opening that he did when I saw him. And I keep saying 5 or 6 years ago. That has to be right. It was at the Dow Event Center in Saginaw. And it was in one of the smaller rooms, which is great. And yeah, we were about 4 rows from we were dead center.
He was actually supposed to be there again at the beginning of April, and I think it got canceled.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, me and the beloved were looking into that.
Yeah, me and Pookie, my girlfriend, whom I adore, were thinking about going. But then tickets were like super expensive, and then the world went haywire. So,
yeah, we got ours on StubHub last time because and that was like right when StubHub. Well, I mean, to us, I didn't even know what StubHub was 6 years ago. So it was like a new thing to us at least, and we got them like I think 2 days before, and they were quite cheaper than what they were, and we were like, wow, this is crazy. And it was like, yeah, 4 rows back. So. But he did kind of the same opening. It was the same bit of if you watch it, he talks about that everybody there just decided to go out tonight, and we're going out. This is what we're doing, and he kind of did the same thing 6 years ago when I saw him. And it's an excellent bit because he just talks about like, did you grab the tickets? Oh, you did. Who has the tickets? Do we have the ticket? Where are we gonna park? Now we got to park. And when I saw him 6 years, he doesn't do this in the special, but when I saw him 6 years ago, he's like, "Are we having dinner with Jim and Martha? Really? Jim's just gonna talk about golf the whole time. I can't stand this guy." And it's just great because when I saw him live, he said, you get home from a hard day at work, you unloosen your tie. You pour some scotch, you go sit down in your favorite chair, and the wife goes, "Hey, remember we're going to see Jerry Seinfeld." I hate Jerry Seinfeld. Like he makes the husband like not a fan the whole time, which is great.
Yeah. There's a few little bits inside the whole overarching bit. Like he's like he makes a reference about friends and how all your friends are annoying. And you'd get rid of them all in a second if it wasn't so hard to find more of them. So you're just like, I'll write it out with these idiots.
Yeah, it's what I kind of decided on this podcast. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then he gets to the point where he's like, so y'all had to go out. You got to be out. Well, this is it.
Right.
and then he's like, then you can move on to the next phase of going out, which is I got to be getting back.
Which that's awesome.
Which is so true because I personally, whenever I go somewhere, I think about, well, when am I going to leave? Like, where did you park? What time should I go? Immediately when I get somewhere, I'm like, okay. Almost
Mike
time
Birbiglia.
to go.
Mike Birbiglia in his new special. I know we're not talking Mike Birbiglia, but in his new special, which is also on Netflix right now, he has a line where he says, "Me and my wife hate going to parties, but we love leaving parties."
Yeah, that's a good line.
The best line in the world, you know. And Jerry kind of has that same thing. He's like, "We're just going out so we can judge each other."
Right.
And make ourselves feel better about like, look at that guy or whatever he says,
Yeah. Nobody wants to be anywhere, he says. Nobody likes anything.
Right. Yeah. When we saw him live, he did like the same, again, I'm sorry, I know I keep repeating that, but he did like the same sort of thing. There was a lot of differences, but it was kind of the same idea. And he kept going for like, God, it seemed like 10 minutes. And that's when I was really like, wow, this guy is seriously like, he's the man. How have I not loved this guy before? Because he stayed on the same bit and everything was funny. And he crescendoed it up, like, you get to the dinner, you go dinner first, and then you get there and they lost your reservations. And now and he keeps going. And then he gets to the point where you get your $7 beer, you get the wife her salted almonds, you sit down in the seat, and he spins around in the spotlight, like flashed, and he spun around and he did like the whole ta-da, and he goes, "Just to see me," and that's where he stopped that, and of course people exploded.
Right.
It was really cool.
And
he didn't do that in the special, but it was the same. It was more casual in the special, I guess.
Yeah, my favorite bit of the whole thing was the sucks and great are pretty close together.
Yes.
Sucks
yeah.
Sucks and great are the only two ways that we judge anything anymore. That's the only two scores we give. And
genius. Yeah.
Yeah. He says that they're basically the same thing. Don't believe me? You get an ice cream cone. The ice cream hits the pavement. Sucks. What do you say? Great. And I laughed so hard. I'm like, oh, that's so smart and fun.
Yeah. How's that movie? It sucks. It could have been great.
Right.
Yeah. It was great. My favorite one was the buffet.
Yeah, I think that was the very next joke, actually.
Yeah, that opening sequence for like the first 20 minutes. The beloved was sleeping next to me, and I wasn't waking her up completely, but I was laughing pretty hard. And the buffet was the first off, the way he says buffet is buffet.
Buffet.
It says, let's take a bunch of people that don't know portion control and put their emotional problems and build it into a fucking pyramid of unhealthy foods or whatever. It's great.
He said some kind of debauched Caligula food orgy of unlimited human consumption.
What did he compare it to? He said that's like going to God, what was the comparison?
I don't remember.
There was some comparison where it's like going up to a child and saying they can have everything they want in this store or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So you're going to get some crazy things coming back on that plate.
I appreciate the fact that he singled out the phrase "it is what it is." Because that's one of my pet peeves, and he had the best punchline for that. He said, "Why are you alive just to say air words that blow around the room? Because they don't mean anything."
Yeah, he said, you might as well just blow on me instead of saying it is what it is.
Right.
This special hasn't aged well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's only a month old, but
right. It's already outdated.
Right. I really like the ghost typing, which that made me laugh. I think maybe the hardest, where he's like he uses his pointer finger, his middle finger, and his ring finger, and he does like when we see somebody typing on Facebook Messenger. He does 3 little like dots.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh shit, what's coming? Oh, here it is. What's this profound thing that this guy's getting ready to tell me? And he's like, then you get the ghost text where it's just nothing. It just goes away. You're like, what was that?
Where did it go?
Where did it go? I want to know what that was. He's like doing the ghost text and then not typing anything, or just nothing comes out. That's like walking up to somebody, getting right in their face and going, never mind. Oh, yeah, because that always drives me nuts. I'm like, what were they going to say?
He does talk about his marriage and stuff, and usually I don't think he talks about that sort of stuff on stage.
He even said in the special, he said, I'm going to do something I usually don't do. I'm going to get real personal. He's like, that's what he says. I'm 65 years old. I have a wife of 19 years. I have 3 children, the oldest being 18. And he really sets it all up.
Yeah. A lot of people my age make a bucket list. I turned the B to an F, and I was done with that too.
Yeah, what a Seinfeld move to the B to the F. He's not going to say the word.
No. In fact, he swears like twice in the whole thing, and I was shocked.
Dude, he swore a lot when I saw him live at Dow Event Center. That's another thing. Like,
oh, really?
He was saying the F word. He was saying damn it and shit. I wouldn't say like on a Kennison level, but
right. Yeah.
It was definitely like a Louis C.K. level. I was like, whoa.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I just remember it more, like I'm exaggerating it more in my head, but he definitely was letting some swear words fly. And maybe he just doesn't do that during his special, and maybe he was just in a mood that night. But
maybe
the crowd was asking. I can kind of tell some nights if I say the F word on stage early, I can either tell. You can tell they'll either clam up or they'll loosen up. So it's like maybe just that audience that night that he tested it with a couple swear words and people were digging them. So
yeah, I mean, not ever. I mean, I've went with you to a lot of shows, and not every room is made for swearing.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you swear and the people look like, like you just shoved a finger up their butt or something. But
it's amazing to me how much environment plays in what material works and what doesn't. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you can go from one place to another and do the same exact material, and people are like, nah. And a lot of it, which I think another young comedians, like really young, I'm not talking like I'm a veteran, but I mean like a couple years in and stuff, you come to find out that you're also, sometimes you don't say the joke the same way as you said the night before, or you say a different word, or you time it differently, and then you realize, wow, this is a lot harder. You got to get that timing down. You got to get the exact words that you want. You know what I mean? Once you get the timing, you can mess with the words. But I mean, sometimes it's just that. So
yeah,
sometimes it's your fault.
I did like when he was talking about family vacations too. He said, "Let's go pay a lot of money to fight in a hotel." That's his description of the family vacation.
Yeah, that was really funny. He's like, "Why not fight somewhere else?"
Yeah. Ride bikes and swear at each other.
Yeah. That's throwing profanities at each other on a nice sandy white beach.
Yeah. He was interviewed about this special on the New York Times yesterday, I think. And he was asked about social media, and he was talking about how he was showing his kids a video from social media from some comedian named Sarah Cooper that she did. And he showed it to his kids. So I'll just read what he said. This comedian, she took the voice of Trump talking about injecting yourself with disinfectant and just acted it out. I said, the reason this is funny is because she doesn't think she's being funny. When you think you're being funny, that's less funny for us as the audience. When you're being dead serious, that's funnier. You don't see her enjoying what she's doing. She's doing it because she has to do it. That's what's funny. They got it. They understood it. That's the kinds of conversations I love to get into with them, referring to his kids.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Right. I think I noticed that a lot too. I mean, the more honest and open and real you are on stage, that's when the funniness comes out. There's so many times I'll be on stage and I'll just be in the middle of like a rant, and I'll end the rant, and I didn't think I said something very funny, but people were laughing, and I was like, wow, that's weird, because the funny part hasn't even came up yet, in my head,
Well, it always seems to be the case whenever you're more yourself.
Yeah.
Success. I mean, with relationships, with job interviews, anything really. For example, in pro wrestling, which is like the bastard stepchild of stand-up comedy, really, you take a character like Stone Cold Steve Austin that was given all these stupid gimmicks and shit.
Right.
And finally, when he became a worldwide superstar, he was just basically an amped up version of himself. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin is him, just with the volume turned up a little bit. I think the same thing could be said with most comedians. Like,
absolutely.
That's Jerry, just with the arrogance turned up a little bit.
Absolutely. It's a heightened version of yourself. Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. And sometimes people are the same exact person on and off stage, and it works for them too. And that really surprises me. Like Matt Holt's like that, Dave Landau's like that, where they're the exact. They don't have anybody. They're joke writing, and they have so much confidence in their ability that they're the same exact person. Now Jerry has created kind of a character of himself, which is great to do too.
Yeah.
But it also impresses me too when you meet a comedian and they're the exact same person on stage, off stage, and I've been getting closer to that, but I still like to go on stage and be that heightened version. I'm being myself.
Yeah.
But I'm being a little louder. I'm being maybe a little more vulgar. It depends on the crowd, but I'm being a little more amped up version of what I am, which I think is fine and dandy too. But at some point, when the joke writing, like Mike Baldwin, I was with Mike Baldwin. He's out of St. Louis or maybe Kansas City. think he's out of Kansas City, Missouri. I was with him right before the quarantine. It was March 13th and 14th. And so that was the last weekend that comedy happened, I think, anywhere. And I leaned over to the owner of Goonies. We were in Rochester, Minnesota. And I was like, God, he has no gimmicks. He just goes up there and talks, and it's fucking fantastic. And, when you see that, it's like, wow, that was the same dude that I was just standing outside talking to. And he's just as funny on stage as he is off stage. And that's another element. But, yeah, Jerry does. Yeah, I mean, it's a little different because Jerry just heightens himself. So it's good. Either way, it's good.
I mean, that's a trick I learned years ago doing the podcast. I mean, if you listen to the first year of us doing this and then you listen to, I don't know, 5 years in, it's completely different. And it's just me learning to heighten myself. And again, that got me into trouble a few times when I went on some dates and they had heard the podcast first before they met me. Then they're like, oh, you're not the same. Well, no, why would I be? Do you really want that obnoxious person around you 24/7? I doubt it.
Right. I'm not really as dumb as I portray myself to be.
Well, yes, Tommy, you're not as dumb as you portray yourself to be, Tommy.
I knew that to be the truth.
Yes, he is. Sorry, I was just clearing my throat.
Yeah, right.
The interviewer asked him, do you think this might be the last stand-up special you do? And Jerry said, I don't know. It feels like that to me. I like guys like Cary Grant that didn't want to go past a certain point on film. Live is different. I'll perform forever. But on film, there's a point where, I don't know, I'll see when I get there.
Yeah.
So
I think he's protecting himself. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another fat paycheck would help.
Right. Depending on I think he said his oldest daughter went off to college, but I think the other ones are still in the wings. So,
I mean, Lord knows he doesn't need money. He got so much money from syndication and Seinfeld and continues to get money every time they get shopped at a different streaming service. I think Seinfeld's coming to Netflix, so.
But the thing I've learned about a lot of rich people, which isn't a bad thing, I mean, this is just, I think once you have money, you just want more money.
Yeah.
And once you have more money, you just want more money. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a reason why you can't get Brad Pitt to do a movie for under $50 million or whatever. I don't know. That's hypothetical.
Yeah, but don't you get the impression that Seinfeld would still be doing stand-up comedy in some bar somewhere?
Oh, yeah. Well, he actually says that. The thing, he's like, I think this is my favorite spot in the world.
Yeah.
He was talking about being on stage. And another thing I want to point out at the beginning of the, I think he was in his first bit and some lady yelled out, "We love you." And he says, "I love you too." Yeah. And then he stops and he goes, "That's actually my favorite kind of relationship where you love me and I love you. And we don't even have to meet."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Jerry does have a new book coming out in October, which I'm excited about. And it's going to feature a ton of his comedy that he saved for the last 45 years. So do you remember watching that special on Netflix called Jerry Before Seinfeld?
Oh man, I think so. I mean, I definitely remember the special. I'm trying to think. I can't picture any of it.
There was those in-between scenes where he emptied out his notebooks or whatever and put the pages all over a city street, if you remember that. I think it's going to be material from that in the book and him talking about it, which I think might be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was in that special. Was that the special where it shows like his just his file cabinets full of jokes?
Yeah,
and it's just notepads. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
he definitely has some like anal issues with those or something. I mean, good for him for being organized, I guess. It's just like, holy shit.
Don't you have notebooks full of material at this point?
I do, but I don't know where they're at.
Perfect.
I just come across one every 3 or 4 months, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that joke has potential. Yeah. And I throw it over my shoulder and keep walking, I guess.
The great American joke that'll drive the entire country to hysteria and make them all forget the current problem we're all going through the healing power of laughter is stuck in a book that Tommy wrote down. He wrote it down in a book somewhere, and he lost the fucker. Has no clue. So humanity is lost.
Vibrating. The pages vibrate it when I get close enough to it, but I just can't. I can't hear them or notice them.
Yeah, that it starts glowing this yellow glow, and Tommy's
it's
like
the Blair Witch book.
Yeah, Tommy's like, oh, geez, I guess I had too much to drink again. Seeing stuff.
That book's over there talking to me again.
Damn it. Do you think this would be a worthy stand-up special for him to go out on?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I think it's like a B plus. I mean, personally, there was a couple things in there where I was like, really, Jerry? That was kind of weird. And I can't remember. There was some throwaway line that he did that has been done over a million times. I was kind of surprised on that. I don't even know if he even caught that he said it. It was probably something that I just caught because I hear people say it all the time. I can't even remember what it was right now. I was surprised with the ending too, and the ending just kind of it just kind of happened.
Yeah,
there was no build up. I was like, that's it. Because he was like, it was like almost like he was in the middle of a rant, and then he's like, "Thank you, New York City. Have a good night." I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, I wonder if something got cut there or edited for time to make it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Like, does it really have to be a solid hour? Can't you go over?
Right. Yeah, it must have been in the contract or something. Netflix, or Jerry, one of the two, didn't want.
Right.
I mean, I think if I was Jerry, I'd be really proud of this one. I think, with any special, you could probably go back and go, I probably wouldn't have said that, or I should have said this. But I mean, overall, I think it would be a good thing for his legacy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out for sure. But the front half of it is front loaded with awesomeness, and then it kind of tails off. I watched it twice, and both times I actually tailed off around probably the halfway mark.
Yeah, I don't even remember what he was talking about at the end. I think I was starting to fall asleep, but I just remember all of a sudden, bam, it's over. Yeah. And it's the theater, right?
Yeah.
Which I think Louis recorded Hilarious at. No, he recorded live from the Beacon Theater.
Yeah, he did. Yes, Louis recorded live at the Beacon Theater That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I knew it was one special, and then I had to go through them real quick.
It kind of blows my mind that Jerry only has 3 stand-up specials.
Yeah, man, he's I can't remember. Is Jerry? I've seen Talking Funny, which is good, but I haven't seen it in a long time. Have you seen Talking Funny?
No, what is that?
It's Chris Rock, Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, and Louis C.K. talking about comedy.
Oh, really? What is it? Just like an hour or something?
Yep. It's I think you can find it on YouTube. It's just called Talking Funny. It's very good. And if I remember correctly, Jerry is okay with recycling jokes. Is that right?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think so. I think because Chris Rock and Louis were like, no, you got to get rid of them. You write your hour and then you throw it away and you go back and then you have a new hour. And if I remember correctly, I could be wrong on this. It was either Jerry or Ricky, but I think it was Jerry saying, no, I kind of like keeping the greatest hits a little bit.
Well, yeah, that does make sense because on Jerry before Seinfeld, he went back to all of his old bits and performed them on stage again. And and then on I'm telling you for the last time at the very, very end, at least on the CD version, the album version, he does like a greatest hits of material and also talks about Seinfeld and does like Seinfeld impressions and stuff. So yeah, I guess he's not opposed.
Yeah, but Talking Funny and comedian are both things that if you're a Seinfeld fan and you're a Louis fan and you're a Chris Rock fan, I don't know if you're a Ricky Gervais fan, but
yes and no, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's more of a better writer. Maybe, I don't know. He created The Office, right?
He did create, but the British version of The Office is completely different from the American version.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, like 100%.
I never really watched.
So when Ricky Gervais first started out, he started out in radio, and It was kind of like a podcast type format, and that stuff is really fun, I think. As fun because he was with Stephen Merchant and Carl Pilkington, and just their rapport and what they talked about and the way they would riff on each other, mainly making fun of Carl, was really fun. But his stand up and stuff, I don't know. Like whenever he hosts an award show, he's just gonna try to be as controversial as possible and take the piss out of everybody. Which okay, I guess, but
right, yeah. I'd much rather see Chris Rock host it. I don't know why Chris Rock just isn't hosting everything. I think that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the bully comedian thing. You're not accomplishing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's very one-sided.
You're not accomplishing anything by like mocking some actor in the audience.
Yeah, he's like Michael Moore with punchlines.
Yeah, all you're doing is creating more memes from the internet for people's reaction, and we don't need any more of those.
Yeah, it's very one-sided. But I guess it's his niche, and I guess people that really like him, that's what they expect from him. So that's his onstage character. Huh?
Yeah, and the fact that on the same token, the fact that any of those celebrities are surprised, shocked, or even pissed off that he would dare say anything about them is stupid because they know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's all just played into it, I think. I think it's all part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't feel sorry for any of them because they're all weird. All actors are weird. They make weird.
Celebrities are weird people, man.
They are weird people.
Weird.
Honestly, though, think about it. The older you get, you when you think about the friends that you have, you're like, oh man, they're kind of weird too. It really
everybody's weird.
It really speaks to me, I guess, as a person that my most normal friend is you. That's a scary thought.
And I'm a weird guy.
You are a weird guy.
I think what makes me weird is that I have no filter. It's very hard for me to have a filter. I have no filter. I don't think before I talk, which is kind of like not having a filter.
Actually, I will say you have more of a filter now than you used to.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you grow up, and you kind of. I think about my words a little more, but I try to. Even if something stupid pops in my head, I'm gonna say it as long as it's not like inappropriate. I guess. Yeah. I mean, inappropriate in the way that it's gonna offend somebody. If it's very inappropriate, as in like super funny, then I'll say it. But I mean, like I don't want to offend anybody. So I think I've grown older in that sense. But I mean, what makes me weird is that I think I'm probably moderate intelligence, but I like the fact that I can think about things and come up with a pretty good intellectual, response to them, but I don't like to. I would rather just fly off the handle first and then see what happens.
Right.
And I think, and that comes with, and I'm kind of lazy in some points. So I'd rather be goofy than I'd rather be weird goofy than anything else. So I think that's just kind of naturally who I am. So
you are naturally weird goofy. If you liked what you heard today, join our Facebook group on that, facebook.com. Follow me on Twitter at mretailslave. Tell a friend to listen, for crying out loud. Tell all your friends to listen. We're approaching our 8-year anniversary, so we've got a ton of back catalog that you can listen to as well. What were you going to say, Thomas?
Well, you were talking about friends there for a minute. What got us into that? Because I was trailing off as to thinking about how weird I am.
Oh, we were talking about actors being
celebrities
weird. Yeah, and I said, go ahead.
I think the big thing is like when I was a kid, I was weird as fuck. I was the same person. When my mom had the video camera out, I was dancing in front of it. I was being loud. I was trying to, be the funny guy or whatever. And I always thought I'm going to grow up and be a famous actor. And the older I got, the more I thought, that sounds fucking terrible. That sounds like a terrible life.
Right.
To be famous. Ugh. That would be terrible, right? I mean, you have no privacy. Everything especially nowadays. Everything. If you're really famous, I mean, luckily I didn't have the talent to become really famous anyway. Turns out I never had to worry about that. But I mean, I hear other comedians, that are trying to get on a TV show and stuff like that. I'm like, ugh, just give me Give me 30. Give me 20 people that will be engaged with me for 40 minutes, and I'll be happy. That's all I want. I don't even care. Like, it's kind of like Jerry. I don't even really care if I have to meet these people. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'll shake their hand after the show and talk to them, and if they want to talk to me, that's cool too. I like people, but the idea of being famous and having people, I don't know. I think you got to be a weird person to want to be famous.
Well, you should be happy to know, Tommy, that at least 20 people will listen to this episode, and they will be highly engaged with everything you have to say, and you should be very happy about that.
And one of them will engage into the Miserable Retail Slave Facebook group.
Maybe. And the rest of y'all need to join, so do that, please. Tommy, what do you want to cover next? The floor is yours.
Well, we're both big fans of Louis. Let's do a Louis. Let's do Hilarious.
Perfect. That's probably my favorite album ever. So
I think
works for me.
It's definitely my favorite Louis one, I think. So I have to go back. There might be some jokes that I'm mixing up with other ones, but I definitely remember I loved Hilarious a lot. So
yeah, me too. That's a good call. So we're gonna do Hilarious. All right, we're gonna do Louis next time. In the meantime, we'll see ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.